but you've cracked deals in the range of 250K to over a billion. What advice can you give to someone who is preparing for deals in that large ballpark? Maybe something you wish you knew when you were preparing your first deal in that range.
Prepare for the unexpected. Analyze and acknowledge the fact that the other guy across the table wants something. It's either his terms or your price or his terms. But you have to acknowledge the fact that the other guy has to walk away from the table intact. Sometimes I walked away from the table not getting what I wanted. But at the end of the day, you're not going to always get what you want. But if you're smart enough to say, okay, I'll take 75%, 50%, 25%, as long as I can walk away from the deal with something worthwhile in it. So I just bottom line say, be smart enough to realize you're ahead of the game, take advantage of the opportunity, more importantly speaking, and realize that sometimes it's not always going to be the way you want it. You're going to have to take some loss. I mean, a good example of that would have been Sears. And as I coined it, Amazon. Had they bought Amazon, we would have never heard of Bezos. Period. Mr. Bezos can be praised because Sears passed on it. But had they bought it, we now will be still shopping at Sears.
Entrepreneurs, if you have dreams of growing your company to include you being a managing director as well, stay tuned because we are bringing on Darius to uncover leadership DNA. Darius, thank you so much for joining me here on That Entrepreneur Show.
Thank you, Mr. Lansing. I appreciate it and look forward to this. It's a great show.
Talking behind the scenes, he's a Giants fan. I'm a Jets fan. I won't hold it against him because today we've got a all-star show heading your way this week on That Entrepreneur Show. Welcome back. My name is Vincent A. Lansing, and once again, today I am joined by Darius Ross, an incredible entrepreneur, also from the New York area. If it's your first time with us, this is the #1 small business and entrepreneur podcast. Thank you for listening and helping make this show a top 2.5% global podcast. Your support means so much, as well as showing love to our show partners, Coming Alive Podcast Production, and Tampa Counseling and Wellness. I previewed it before. Leadership DNA. He's going to help you tap into yours. That's the name of his book, which we will dive into as well. But we're going to start on the entrepreneur side of things today. Darius, let's go back in time. Why did you want to be an entrepreneur?
The key thing of it is I didn't like the work. Very simple. No other way around that from being a little kid on. It's like knowledge capital. How do you turn around and leverage your knowledge capital to put someone else to work, to do the things that you don't want to do, and then do it faster, efficiently, and in the same token, maintain something solid for them financially and also for you?
And I think there had to be 1 or 2 systems involved to make all of that happen. What are some systems you have in place as just your general business entrepreneur day to day that we can help push forward to our community?
I think the biggest thing is appreciating your blessings and being aware of the fact of timing, precision, and synchronicity. That's another book that I'll be coming out with.
Okay, well, we're going to get into book talk soon enough, but you just brought up something great I want to switch into, being grateful for things. Can you share, in your opinion, the best ways to navigate adversity, overcoming challenges, and developing that strong attitude needed to aim for success?
I think the first thing is that you have to actually establish the fact that you are where you are, taking accountability of where you are. You don't have it. You didn't come from the rappers now say coming from the mud, meaning that you came from nothing. So when you establish the fact you came from nothing, you have nothing to work with, then you have all the possibilities in the world. Because at the end of the day, as the saying goes, this is the greatest country in the world. Well, in some ways, there's downsides and there's upsides. The downsides is establishing the fact that you're at this bottom, right? The upside of it is the sky's the limit, as long as you understand the hustle, the grind, and then, you got to get it because there's something out there for everybody and there's a monumentous amount of money and there's unlimited opportunity. You just have to be able to sell something that everybody wants. Find the sweet spot.
I absolutely love that. Speaking of tools, can you help us out with some motivational tools to help people continue to realize their potential and break through, like we just talked about, past life challenges and adversity?
One of the biggest things is walk right outside your door and look at someone that God bless them that's on the street corner. And that is, in some cases, they have no limbs. In some cases, they're out there just surviving. And then ask yourself, if I'm not there, I'm okay. And from that point forth, you are already blessed. You're one step ahead. So every single morning when you wake up and you're breathing, eating, sleeping, you're okay. So when people say, oh, this is a terrible day, guess what? It ain't as bad as it could be. So when you're looking at somebody that doesn't have that opportunity, you have all the opportunity in the world. So the one thing that I say is appreciate that which you are not.
So you're saying have this perspective of it could always be worse.
That's right.
I can certainly relate to that. At my lowest of lows, that was one of the only mindsets and perspective that helped get me back up and running. You've been in this entrepreneurship game for a little bit. You found so much success, so congratulations on that. Why is it important to not just say we're an entrepreneur, but to also cultivate this entrepreneurial mindset that's necessary to lead in business?
I'll give you a good example of that. Something as simple as, and when I say about being grounded, sometimes people get ahead of themselves and they're like, I'm at this top of the food chain and I have nothing to look forward to. To this day, if I'm walking down the street and I see a penny on the sidewalk, I'm picking the penny up. The penny's part of $1. I'm sorry. People are like, no. I still have my penny jars because I still appreciated what it was like to go to Pizza Hut and pour those pennies out. So the number one thing I say is do not get beyond where you were because you can easily end up back there.
I love that. I put that right here in the notes when we go live. Don't get beyond where you were. A lot of this is just continuing to inspire me, and we're just getting started in this episode. But I know one of the goals you had as a business owner was to continue to inspire people in new ways, grow your brand in non-traditional ways. You decided to not only do one book, you've got another one locked in the arsenal, get ready to come out. Everyone, yes, he was on Writing with Authors. Go down in the episode description. Check out more on Leadership DNA. But it was a USA National Bestseller that brings together expert insights on mastering the art of leadership. I know why you wanted to be an entrepreneur, but what led to this book, Darius?
Because of the fact I saw so many leaders that were doing leadership all wrong. Because one of the biggest things of it is in order to be a leader, you have to be a follower. So until you can actually follow and actually go through things and trials and tribulations, and I say this to people that are looking for mentors, what have you gone through to actually stress the fact that you can now lead somebody? Everybody can do it from an academic standpoint, but have you gone through adversity? Have you gone through hardships? Have you gone through trials and tribulations and got to the other side and have the scars to prove it? Whether it is from jail to hell, have you been there? Then you can talk about it.
Who would you say the target reader is for this book?
Anyone that's going through a trial and tribulation in their life now, whether it's marriage, whether it's leadership, whether it's you're an entrepreneur, or whether you're a guy that's just trying to figure out where does my life lead to? Because I'm targeting things that actually talk to people where they are, not trying to give them academics, but where you are. Right now you're struggling. These are the struggles that you're dealing with, and this is why. It's like a kick-ass principle. Are you afraid to turn around and look at your life and say, you know what? Accountability. Can I be accountable for the fuck-ups that I've made? Excuse how I put that.
You're all good, man. And holding ourselves accountable, there's no other option. If we don't reflect and notice what didn't go well, how can we possibly build off of that? Or we're going to find ourselves in the same routine, that same vicious cycle. And I'm a victim of it in my life. Everyone is at some point. But if you don't reflect and learn, you'll find yourself there again. But I teased it. You have another book already under the way. This time it's called Dealing with the Entrepreneurial Mindset. Are these books related? Are they standalone?
Yeah, what I'm going to be talking about now is timing. I'm going to be talking about precision and synchronicity, how they all go hand in hand. I give an example of, and this is not to glorify military tactics, but I give an example of what happened to Germany in World War II. Everyone would be speaking German now had it not been for Adolf Hitler going into Russia in the winter and going into Africa in the summer because he wasn't prepared for the cold weather and he wasn't prepared for the sandstorm. As a result, he got bogged down, but that's timing. His timing was off. He wasn't precise in hit and run. Although he invented the blitzkrieg, and more importantly speaking, he had so much time on his hands not focusing on military tactics. So the same thing with Pearl Harbor. It was a timing off. Everything has to be time precision. And so as a result, when you're looking at tactics, how does your life work? I mean, sometimes it can be a situation where you can walk in a grocery store. And at that particular moment, it can be you needed, let's say you had a grocery item that was $4 and you only had $3.50 and the cashier overlooks it. Well, that was your timing. It was meant for you. And this is what happens sometimes. We just miss the timing.
And that's certainly true. And we have to recognize when the time is there, when that opportunity is there to present itself. And it seems like you've done a great job at that throughout your career, as your expertise covers the scope of these small, medium-sized, large businesses, really everything. But you've cracked deals in the range of $250K to over $1 billion. What advice can you give to someone who is preparing for deals in that large ballpark? Maybe something you wish you knew when you were preparing your first deal in that range.
Prepare for the unexpected. Analyze and acknowledge the fact that the other guy across the table wants something. It's either his terms or your price or his terms. But you have to acknowledge the fact that the other guy has to walk away from the table intact. Sometimes I walked away from the table not getting what I wanted. But at the end of the day, you're not going to always get what you want. But if you're smart enough to say, okay, I'll take 75%, 50%, 25%, as long as I can walk away from the deal with something worthwhile in it. So I just bottom line say, be smart enough to realize you're ahead of the game, take advantage of the opportunity, more importantly speaking, and realize that sometimes it's not always going to be the way you want it. You're going to have to take some losses. I mean, a good example of that would have been Sears, and as I coined it, Amazon. Had they bought Amazon, we would have never heard of Bezos, period. Mr. Bezos can be praised because Sears passed on it. But had they bought it, we now would be still shopping at Sears.
And look at that dynamic, how that changed. Now, I won't say everyone, but a lot of people, especially now as we're recording this end of the year holiday season, Amazon opened the app, boom, 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 done. I'm not sitting in traffic, fighting crowds, all that, looking for a parking spot. So everyone out there, keep pushing, keep plugging, even if you get denied. Like I'm sure Mr. Bezos was not happy getting denied by Sears, thought it was a big deal. We all know the story of that now and the success he's brought to himself. Of course, those entrepreneurs are the outliers, the Bezos, the Musks, where they think that that's the glamorous life. A lot of us, we're behind the scenes, rocking and rolling, trying to do the best we can. I would love now to ask you, Darius, we've talked about some end of the career stuff now, this advice for these big deals. Early stage entrepreneurs, what advice can you give them?
Be prepared to experience the most screwed up moments in your life early on. Your girlfriend might leave you. Your wife might leave you. Your kids might hate you. Everybody around you is going to be negative. There's nobody that's going to be in your Rudy squad. You're going to cry a lot. You're going to be aggravated a lot. Your blood pressure is going to go up. Understand, it's all part of the game. Aggravation, frustration, and degradation is part of entrepreneurship. No pain, no kicking ass, no gain.
And that's certainly the truth. And at least for me, I got my butt handed to me 99% of the time for the first 7-8 years. And you have those small wins that keep you pushing in the right direction. But very, very well said there. Did you always think you were going to work in this field as a kid, or describe what you wanted to do and what led you here?
I have a nickname as they call me the D-Man. So the man. All right. So I always knew I wanted to be the man. Okay. So from 6 years old on, I was reading the Wall Street Journal, Forbes, Crane, and the whole 9 yards. So I knew I wanted to be somebody that I didn't want to work in a factory because my dad worked in a factory. I didn't want to use a supervisor there. I didn't want to work with my hands because I like my hands to be nice and soft and whatever else. So I just knew some things just were not acceptable. And I give praise to the factory workers and the union folks because they do great jobs. But I just knew that was not something I wanted to do. And I wasn't accustomed to it. So I figured out, you might as well keep on trying and keep on making it happen and use that knowledge capital.
That's incredible. We're 5 years plus into this show. I haven't had someone say they started reading Wall Street Journal at 9 years old. Very incredible. Which resource out of those do you think is the most helpful for entrepreneurs today?
I would say if you really want to get an idea, Entrepreneur Magazine is a real good one, and Inc. Because one of the things that we used to have a game, my dad would play with me. I'd read the magazine. He'd say to me, tell me something about this CEO. Tell me something about this. So I would say to young people, learn the magazine, learn the lessons from it, look at it, spend the time in the library. The library is an unused resource. Those are free magazines there. Go in there, read it, take the time out, Xerox it. What does it cost for you to Xerox that when you're turning around on the iPhone and you're spending $1,500? Xerox yourself a couple hundred pages of magazines. It'll do you great service.
And that's, I think, the society we live in, right? Where the shiny object is right then and there. I was lucky I had my computer go down like always the worst time. The screen was doing whatever. So I had to step back and I picked up a new book. I read Fanatical Prospecting by Jeb Blount. And now I've kind of shaped my sales team off this. And I predict some success because I took the time, went to the library, sat there, read, nice and quiet. Everyone, while we're on books, what book can you recommend to our audience? A book that made a big impact on your life? Of course, other than your books, which certainly do make a big impact.
Sun Tzu, The Art of War, and the 50 Laws of Power. Let's talk about it. In Sun Tzu, The Art of War, it is understanding tactics, bottom line. In the Laws of Power, just the bottom line, being able to understand everything from Machiavelli to and including just tactics again. The guerrilla mentality, I call it. As an entrepreneur, you have to be a guerrilla. Anything and everything goes, anything and everything is adaptable and applicable. So you have to be prepared for whatever may happen and deal with whatever may happen.
Very, very well said. I have enjoyed this episode so much. Do you see yourself continuing to grow this company, or what's in the next steps for you, of course, with this book?
The next step is going to be more books coming out, probably about 8 or 9 that I've got manuscripts laid out for it. Everything from dating to business entrepreneurship, including corporate acquisitions. And then now I'm focusing on infrastructure around the globe as far as getting into infrastructure and companies of that nature.
I love it. Well, I can't wait to see all these books come out. I'm glad that you're putting all this expertise out into the world. Everyone out there, I'm going to ask him a great question now. What is some of the benefits you found for your business by having a book?
It leads you to open doors. It gives you some great opportunities at restaurants. It gives you a great opportunity when people recognize you. They say, like, I know you. But more importantly speaking, it gets people that actually come up to you and say, you know what? I appreciate what you said because you were meeting me where I was. And that's one of the things I found out with books. Express the book as to where people are because you've been where they are. So do not do it academically speaking. So my big thing is expressing it where you are because that's where I was. And I still try to be there so I don't lose sight of what you're going through.
I love how you're meeting everybody where they are. It doesn't really sound like someone's lecturing them then. It's just a natural conversation. I really try to emulate that as I do my talks and in my books as well. Hopefully, if they've heard me speak, they can hear my voice through the pages. But before I let you go here, and before I find out where to find you online, I love to wrap up this question with my guests. If you could choose any entrepreneur, Darius, dead or alive, to have a conversation with who you have not met yet, who would you choose?
Henry Kravitz, KKR.
Talk about it.
Because of coming from the way he actually created KKR and created a multi-billion-dollar leverage buyout outfit, I just love to get an idea to pick his brain and to be able to strategically do some of the deals that I have in mind now. So that would be the one person I'd want to meet.
Delve deeper. Where's the meeting going down if you could pick that too?
Hey, he's still in New York here. He's up there in Scarsdale, I believe. So I'd love to turn around and spend time just sitting there with him and having that conversation about, how to do a mega LBO and how to do it the way I want to do it in a global environment.
Oh, man, we got to make that happen. Make sure we tag him when this show is live. Darius, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day to sit with me, my community of entrepreneurs. I got a lot out of it, and I know they will too. Where can we find you online? And of course, don't forget to share where your book's at.
It is DariusARoss.com. That's DARIUSA Ross.com. They can send me an email at Darius@DariusRoss.com. And the book is Leadership DNA, and it's on all of the platforms, including from Barnes & Nobles all the way down to Amazon.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing that, everyone. Be sure to check out his book and leave us a review, rating, subscribe. Let Darius know how much you loved him in the comments today. The show is at That Entrepreneur Show on all social media and all podcast platforms. My name is Vincent A. Lancy, and you can find me at that name on all handles on social media, YouTube, and my website is vincentalancy.com. Be sure to check out our show partners, ComingAlivePodcastProduction.com, TampaCW.com. And with that, two original New Yorkers signing off today, hoping for better days from our darn Jets and Giants. Darius, thank you so much.
Pleasure. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Take care.